I went to LifeBridge. I was 31. We've been there a little over 20 years now. And God's been so gracious to us. And those first few years, the church just exploded and took off. And we were having a great time. And a lot of things were going well. And about 9 or 10 years into it, so just about 11 or 12 years ago, I had kind of this low-grade fever. I couldn't explain it. I'm a pretty upbeat guy and optimistic. And things were going great at church. And things were well in my family. And our marriage is great. But I just kind of had this like low-grade thing going on. And I was at lunch with a friend one day, John Walker. John runs the Blessing Ranch. Some of you are familiar with this ministry up near the Wyoming border, and he attends our church. And John and I become friends. And I don't know what he asked me at lunch, but it choked me up. I got kind of, and I did the guy thing. And then when we finished lunch, and we went outside. We were walking to our cars, and John said, "Hey, I don't know what's going on there, but there was a fair amount of emotion. I don't know what that's about for you, but when the bucket is full, you don't have to kick it very hard for stuff to spill out." And he said, "I know we're friends, but if you ever want to come and spend some time on the ranch, I would love to do that with you. I'd be happy to do that." Well, I didn't need that. I mean, I know some of you guys needed that. I didn't need that. I'm fine. And I was with one of my friends. I was back east speaking, and one of my friends, Paul, I wasn't going to name him, but Paul Williams. And I said, "Hey, I was with John," and told him the story. And I said, "John thought I should come and spend a couple days at the ranch." And Paul immediately said, "I think that would be a great idea for you." But I thought later on, as I was thinking about, Paul's been in therapy his whole life, and he thinks everybody should be in therapy, and I don't really need to do that. And then I was back home having lunch with another friend who'd spent some time with John, one of the business leaders in our church. And I said to him, "Hey, I was with John, and he thought maybe we should come and spend a little time." And he said, "Man, that was phenomenal. It was great for me. It'd be good for you." But as I thought about it that night, I thought, man, he had a boatload of stuff going on. He had all kinds of issues. No wonder he had to go. And then 2 weeks after that, I was walking with my wife, and I said to Diane, "John suggested I come up." And my wife that I love, who'd been with me so long, looked at me and said, "You could go tonight." There's a saying in Texas that if a person calls you a horse is behind, if one person calls you that, ignore him. If 2 people call you that, look in the mirror. If 3 people call you that, buy a saddle. So I bought the saddle, and I went up to the ranch. And that first morning, we were talking, and finally John said to me, "Would you just shut up and listen?" So I stopped talking. After a few minutes, I said, "I'm listening. What do you want to tell me?" And he said, "Man, you are thick. Don't listen to me. Listen to you." And I don't know what happened next, but there was this tidal wave of emotion. And as we unpack that, here's what John said. I come to church, I hear you talk about grace. You are great at explaining it to people. You are so good at helping them. I've watched you deal in some relationship stuff where you've been so graceful and reconnected and repaired relationships. I listen to you talk, but you are terrible about getting grace for yourself at times. You have this expectation that's unrealistic. You keep pushing and driving. Sometimes I forget that grace that fixes the hole in our heart, that refreshes us, that repairs our soul.